Today's scripture text and Watchtower comments encourage us to exert ourselves to show love to others, especially our brothers. So let's discuss the theme, pursue the way of love. And interestingly, that expression, pursue love, is found 3 times in the Bible. The verb pursue is very appropriate. Why? Well, it means to chase, persistently follow in an effort to overtake or capture. Now, we could illustrate with a small child chasing a butterfly, pursuing it, chasing, pursuing in an effort to overtake or capture. Now, what is the butterfly trying to do? Get away, escape, evade. If we think about it, that's what love tries to do to us. But now why? The question is, why does love try to get away from us, thus requiring that we pursue it? Well, the main reason, because of the imperfection that we've inherited. Genesis 1:27 tells us that originally Adam was made in Jehovah's image, perfectly reflecting Jehovah and his qualities. He did that just perfectly. But then when he sinned, imperfection entered. And we could say Adam became a distorted reflection of Jehovah and his qualities. Now we could illustrate this with a distorted mirror, perhaps at the fair or circus. It can make you look a lot taller, a lot shorter, a lot fatter, a lot thinner than you really are, and distort you in other ways. Well, in effect, Adam became a distorted reflection of Jehovah and his qualities. And we've inherited that condition. We are distorted reflections of Jehovah and his qualities. So we have to pursue love. But now, let me ask this. Would you say that Jehovah is pursuing the way of love? Well, could be a trick question, but is Jehovah chasing, trying to catch love? No. 1 John 4:8. God is love. He just naturally displays it, see. He doesn't have to work at it. You could say, has it radiate. It emanates from Jehovah God. But with us, it's different. See, in our imperfection, love is not our natural inclination. We have to pursue it. But now the question, how do we do it? Well, the entire Bible tells us how to pursue love. But specifically, the 5 verses, 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4 through 8, tell us how to pursue love. Now, there we have 16 expressions of love, 9 ways that love does not behave, and 7 ways it does behave. And if we closely examine those 16 expressions of love, we'll have direction in our pursuit of love. We won't wander aimlessly. We won't travel erroneously. Now, as time permits, let's discuss some of the ways that love does not act, ways it doesn't behave. 1, love is not jealous. Now, in the Bible, jealous can have a good connotation, a bad connotation. In the good connotation, it's closely related to zealous. But of course, here, Jehovah's using it in the bad sense. And by far, the majority of times in the Bible, that's the way the word is used. Now, what does it mean? Well, it means envious of good things coming to others. It can be worse than anger. Anger can come and pass quickly, but jealousy can be harbored deep. In fact, Proverbs 14:30 talks about it being deep down in the bones. Well, how can we avoid jealousy and pursue love? Even though it's not easy, we have to prayerfully, with Jehovah's help, do what is mentioned at Romans chapter 12. Please turn there. Romans chapter 12, and here's what Jehovah tells us to do. Verse number 15. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Weep with those who weep. Now, think about it. Which of the two is the hardest? Well, generally, it's not so hard to weep with someone who's weeping. They found out they have cancer. They lose a loved one in death. We can be very sorry with them. But now often it's harder to rejoice with someone who rejoices. They've received some good thing. Some good has happened to them, and it didn't happen to us. Now, here's just one little illustration. Let's say an elder is so happy he received an assignment for the regional convention. Now, we've always wanted to get an assignment. We didn't get an assignment. Are we going to rejoice with our brother who is rejoicing? And not just outwardly appear we're happy for him, but inside have jealousy. Truly in our heart, being happy, rejoicing with our brother who is rejoicing. With Jehovah's help, we can do that. We can work at that attitude. And if you think about it, about the only emotion that is stronger than jealousy is love. With love, we can smash jealousy. Now, another expression of love does not brag. If we're pursuing the way of love, we will prayerfully work hard not to elevate ourselves in our speech. We'll strive to not so often use the pronouns I and me, thus directing attention to ourselves. Rather, we'll play our role down. We'll direct attention to others, and especially to our God, Jehovah. Another expression of love does not get puffed up. Now, puffed up is closely related to bragging because normally a person who's puffed up brags, doesn't he? But do you think it would be possible to be puffed up and not brag? Yes. We could actually have this attitude, thinking too much of ourselves, even though we didn't make outward expression of that attitude. Well, why would that be unloving? If we were puffed up but we didn't brag, well, others would sense it. See, that attitude would come across. It would project. And in effect, it would put others down rather than build them up. And most importantly, Jehovah would read that attitude in our heart, and he wouldn't bless us. So here's what he tells us to do regarding our thinking. Romans 12 again. And this time, take a look at verse 3. And right in the middle there, Jehovah says, I tell everyone among you not to think more of himself than is necessary to think. So, it's Jehovah saying we shouldn't even think that way about ourselves. We should have a humble attitude. Another expression of love does not behave indecently. Now, there are varying degrees of indecency, shocking indecency, immorality. But on the other end of the spectrum, perhaps, lack of good manners. Well, we don't even want to slightly be indecent, do we? Especially as Bethelites. We want to have good manners by generously using the expressions, thank you, please, by holding the door for others, by allowing them to have the preferences, the first place, and so forth. When we pass them in the hall, warmly greeting our brothers, not being more interested in our electronic device than we are that brother we're passing. See, good manners as we interact with our brothers. Another expression of love does not become provoked. Now, here's one example, just quickly. Let's say we're driving our car. We're parked at a red light. Light turns green. Immediately, the person behind us blows a horn, indicating we should move on quicker. Now, does that get to us? Do we start off very slow? Because we're going to make them pay for that. Well, we're getting provoked. Remember, love does not get provoked. One more example, love does not keep account of the injury. Does that mean we have to totally blot out of our mind any recollection of the injury? No. As the scripture says, we don't keep account of the injury, which would indicate maintaining a ledger, see, a debt being owed. Now, we may remember the injury, but we have forgiven in our heart. We have canceled their debt. Well, there we have 6 expressions of love, and I'm going to assign you the other 10 to do the research there in those verses that we were talking about. But from our discussion, it's obvious we have to pursue love. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come effortlessly. None of these expressions. Like that butterfly we talked about in the beginning, trying to get away from the child. Love tries to get away from us. But with Jehovah's help, we can pursue it. And we're going to have to keep doing this. How long? Well, until the marvelous time we're perfect. And then we'll no longer have to pursue love. But like Jehovah and Jesus, we will simply be able to display love. But until that marvelous time, may 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8, give direction to our pursuit for love.